Welcome again to Living by the Word Ministries. So today we're going to check on something. Is taking tea and coffee a sin for a Seventh-day Adventist? Is taking tea or coffee a sin for a Seventh-day Adventist? The verse that is going to guide us comes from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 19 and 20, which says, "What, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's." So Paul was telling the Corinthians that this body of ours is the temple of the Holy Ghost. And so in verse 20 tell us, glorify God in your body. So we should glorify God in our body by doing what? In whatsoever we do, eating or drinking, we should glorify God. And so we should not defile our body, just as Daniel in Daniel chapter 1. Let's go with me to Daniel chapter 1. Just as Daniel in Daniel chapter 1, when they were in verse 8, it says, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself." Daniel knew that his body was the temple of the Holy Ghost. But today our main topic is taking tea or coffee a sin for a Christian? First, let's see. On the screen, you can read it with me. Tea leaves contain 3.5% caffeine, while coffee beans have 1.1 to 2.2%. However, coffee brewing process uses hotter water which extracts more caffeine from the beans. Typically, you also use more coffee beans than you'd use tea leaves for a drink. So imagine how many times you've been drinking tea in your life and you have been giving yourself caffeine. That's why you are so addicted to it. But what we should now know is eating tea or coffee good for a Seventh-day Adventist? First, we know that caffeine is a drug, and well, by taking in caffeine, we are defiling ourselves. So we are not doing what is right with God. We are not being as Daniel. So let's go now to the spirit of prophecy and let's see what it will tell us. On the screen, we're reading from Selected Messages 3, page 287. Tea, coffee, tobacco, and alcohol we must present as sinful indulgences. We cannot place on the same ground meat, eggs, butter, cheese, and such articles placed upon the table. These are not to be borne in front as the burden of work. The former tea, coffee, tobacco, wine, and spirituous liquors are not to be taken moderately but discarded. Caffeine is bad. So, if tea leaves contain caffeine and coffee beans contain caffeine, then we are defiling our body. And Ellen White told us in Selected Messages that tea and coffee, tobacco, and alcohol we must present as sinful indulgences, meaning it's a sin to take tea or coffee. Sinful indulgences. If I do this sin, I am indulging in that sin. So by taking tea, coffee, tobacco, and alcohol, I am in a sinful indulgences. So what we should now know is that taking tea and coffee is wrong for a Seventh-day Adventist, and I have presented it as I have been told as a sinful indulgence. Let's check on what the next one is telling us. That is from Testimonies for the Church, second page 394, 1887, or you can also find it in Counsels on Health, page 523. Yes. There has been a war in the hearts of some since the health reform was still introduced. They have felt the same rebellion as did the children of Israel when their appetites were restricted on their journey to Egypt and Canaan. Professed followers of Christ who have professed followers of Christ who have their lives consulted their own pleasure, who have consulted their own pleasure and their own interest, their own ease, and their appetites are not prepared to change their course of action and live for the glory of God. and imitating self-sacrifice for the unerring pattern. A perfect example has been given for Christians to imitate. The words and the works of Christ's followers are the channel through which the pure principles of truth and holiness are conveyed in the world. His followers are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. So there on top you see rebellion against health reform. We have been given the true message, so we should not rebel, but we should do according to it, that you might be a light unto the world. Let us remember what Ellen White tells us in Counsels on Health, page 450. God is trying to lead us back step by step to his original design, that man should not subsist upon the natural products of the earth. Among these who are waiting for the coming of the Lord, meat eating will eventually be done away. Flesh will cease to form a part of their diet. We would ever keep this word in view and endeavor to steadily work toward it. So what God is trying to do is leading us to the original diet, which is found in the book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 29. Go with me there, Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, which says, "And God, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in in the which there is fruit, and a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat." So we were given herbs and beans and all those sorts of stuff. So what we should do, we should not defile our body, but we should endeavor to live as the word says. Living by the word ministries. When the word says no, then it's a no. Thank you.